join the world on road to red, hand in hand across the land. Let me hear you say, come join the world on road to red, you and me.
Three, two, one, action.
Greetings to District Rotary leaders, District Rotaract leaders, Rotarians, Rotaractors, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us in the Inter-District Rotary and Rotaract and Polio webinar this morning. My name is Thomas from District 3310, and together with Anissa from District 3410, we will be your masters of ceremony this morning. It brings us immense pleasure to welcome all of you to our webinar session today to learn and hear about polio eradication efforts by Rotary as well as our Rotary partner World Health Organization. 尊敬的各位总感部门福禄社领导、总感部门父亲社领导、福禄社会员、父亲社会员、各位嘉宾和朋友们，早上好！欢迎你们参加2020父亲社小儿麻痹症网络研讨会。我是来自3310地区的 Thomas， 而我的伙伴是来自3410地区的 Anissa。我们将会是今天的研讨会主持人。
Sekali lagi kami ucapkan selamat datang kepada District Rotary Leaders, District Rotaract Leaders, Rotarians, Rotaractor, serta Bapak dan Ibu hadirin sekalian. We will now begin the event and now play the national anthems of the host clubs countries as follow: Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Japan, and Macau. Please observe silence as we play the anthems.
the music. It gave me a feel of sitting in a RI convention. Well done, Protractors. Governors Rosiana, Eric Shark, Audi, District 3310 Polio Plus Subcommittee Chair, District Governor nominee Joanne Kam, District 3300 Polio Plus Subcommittee Chair, Dr. Bernard Chan, past district governors, district joint Rotary committee chairs from the various districts, Dr. Tigran, Dr. Vinod, fellow Rotractors, Rotarians and friends in Rotary from home and abroad. A very good morning to all and welcome to the 2020 Inter-District and Polio webinar. On behalf of District 3310, my warmest greetings and heartfelt gratitude to the Rotractors for this collaborative effort with Rotary clubs from various districts to raise awareness in polio eradication, which is Rotary's #1 external priority. The theme for this year's World Polio Day was "A win against polio is a win for global health." Today, we are very fortunate and honored to have two WHO officers to share and give us polio updates in the Western Pacific and Southeast Asia regions. Even though our minds are mostly occupied with coronavirus these days, Rotary and Rotary clubs and their members around the globe never stopped supporting the efforts to eradicate polio year after year. This year is no exception, despite not being able to gather in person for large World Polio Day events to increase awareness of polio and raise funds for its eradication. In District 3310, Rotarians were adapting their events in clusters of small groups conforming to social distancing and connect online to maintain momentum in our fight to end polio. The program we adopted will be presented later by our Polio Plus Subcommittee Chair, DGN Joanne Kam. With polio nearly eradicated, Rotary and its partners must sustain this progress and continue to reach every child with the polio vaccine. Without full funding and political commitment, this paralyzing disease could return to polio-free countries, putting children everywhere at risk. Our Rotary International President, Holger Kanak, said, "Let's continue our efforts to end polio by donating to end polio now, and we must fulfill the promise that we made to the children of this world. So let's work together to fulfill that promise." Thank you and have a wonderful morning. Over to you, Thomas or Anisha.
Thank you so much, District Governor Mohan. Next, may we invite District 3410 District Governor Rosiana Wiguna to give her opening speech. DG Rosiana, please, the stage is yours.
Good morning to all Rotarians, Rotaractors, friends of Rotary, and past district governor, PDRR, all Polio Plus officers, Dr. Tigran, Dr. Vinod, and my beloved classmates, DG Mohan, DG Eric, DG Odi, DG Bernard. Today we have a wonderful program, and happy World Polio Day to all of you. And congratulations to all of us because we are this close to ending polio. Indonesia has been polio-free since 2014, but we had an outbreak in Papua. We had managed to overcome that last year, and millions of children has been immunized in Papua. And I'm proud to tell you the story, the fact that the Polio Plus movement in District 3410, and at that time it was District 340, the polio movement in the world was started in Indonesia with the first drop of a polio vaccine immunized to a kid, to the children in Sukabumi, West Java by past RI President Royce Abbey. And we have a witness of that first drop of polio vaccine started the Polio Plus movement, which is PDG Willy Wiguna, who is still very active and going on strong. And he is also my father. PDG Willy, can you open your camera and say hello to everybody? He is a witness of history in the making, 1988. PDG Willy, are you there? Let me see. Yes, that is PDG. Okay, PDG Willy Wiguna. And okay, thank you, PDG Willy. I also would like to acknowledge my past president, Sonny Sontani, as our Polio Plus coordinator. During this World Polio Day, we are urging everybody to donate to Polio Plus, since we have to fight, continue fighting to eradicate polio from the whole world. And I'm very proud with all the Rotary actors here, for all the 11 host clubs that has made this initiative. So it will create awareness that we have to continue supporting the Polio Plus and continue supporting to ending polio. And I'm convinced that together we can do it. Thank you very much. And Rotary opens opportunity.
Thank you, District Governor Rosiana. Next up, may we invite from District 3450, District Governor Eric Chak to give his opening speech. District Governor Eric Chak, please.
Thank you, the host. Good morning, dear fellow Rotarians, Rotaractors, leaders, and especially my classmates, DG Mohan, Rosie, and Odie. It's my pleasure to join this seminar of multi-district. I'm glad that this is organized by our Rotaractor. Congratulations to the host Rotaract Club. And Polio has been the flagship project of Rotary International since 1985. Collaborate with World Health Organization, we achieved a great success, and we are only very close, and only two countries still has the cases, Afghanistan and Pakistan. We are almost at the point of eliminating polio in the world. And I would like to introduce our End Polio Chair, PP Susan. She will talk about it, our effort in Hong Kong, Macau, and Mongolia later. Let's continue all our efforts till we can eliminate polio in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, District Governor Eric. May we invite now District 3810, District Governor Leo D. ODF Tariela to give his opening speech. To DG Leo D, the stage is yours.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. To our distinguished speakers, my fellow district governors, all of my friends, we miss IA. So we are very lucky to have IA, right? So to Mohan, District Governor Mohan, District Governor Eric, District Governor Rosie, my colleagues from the Council of Governors, to our district polio chairs from the different districts, to our past and future DRRs, our Rotaractors, our district officers, to my district polio chair, Raymond Soriaco, Rotarians, friends, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome. So I want to congratulate, of course, our very own, the Rotary Club of Chinatown, Manila, and the Rotary Club of Chinatown, Manila, headed by my transformational president, Kim Jason Ko, for participating in the organization of this inter-district Rotaract webinar and updates on End Polio Now. This is a very relevant topic, especially now that we are almost eradicating polio virus, the dreaded disease, completely. So I thank the following hosts, the Rotary Club of Jakarta, Maliboro, Rotary Club of Singapore East, Rotary Club of Singapore West, Rotary Club of Chinatown, Manila, and Rotary Club of Penang, through whose efforts this event is made possible. Thank you, Dr. Tigran Abagyan from the World Health Organization, Western Pacific Region, and Dr. Binod Bura from the World Health Organization, Southeast Asia region, for finding the time to share with us your updates on polio virus. I am likewise interested to hear from my fellow governors, from of course, Mohan, Rossi, and Emil, about their end polio projects that our district could possibly adopt in our fight against polio. Years before its global launch, polio eradication campaign originated in 1979 in the Philippines. In 1999, we were certified polio-free, but 3 reported cases of polio resurgence. The Rotary Foundation, with the Department of Health officers, went on countrywide house and house-to-house vaccination of children 5 years old and below. With the foundation and the Department of Health swift action, we were quite successful in the partial eradication of polio. As the global polio eradication nears the ultimate goal, much of its success can be attributed to us Rotarians and Rotaractors. From our end, I am happy to report that we have now established our club and campaign goals, that we achieved this through donation and pledges from our clubs, our businesses, and our communities. So through this, we help raise public awareness of Rotary's role in polio eradication. It helps that we inform our campaign contributors that they are eligible Paul Harris Fellow recognition and all other applicable forms of donor recognition by the Rotary Foundation. A few years back, we had, Barriamo Panlaban sa Polio, wherein coin collector cans can be placed in homes, schools, businesses, churches, and other places through the help of Rotary clubs. The cans were then collected from various spots into scheduled dates. We assign a specific bank account for easy facilitations of remittances. I plan to launch such project. Last October 24, 2020, our Polio Day, we had a very successful celebration of World Polio Day, where we started with a motorcade with our Rotarians wearing red and polio shirts, carrying red balloons and showing film clips of projects aligned with polio eradication, of people in action and billboards to create awareness on our fight against dreaded disease. So while it's true that cases have been reduced by 99.9% worldwide, we should not be complacent, as thrilling as the decline in polio cases is not over. So we can be proud and be encouraged, but not let up. We are still facing obstacles. We are all dream of the world free from polio. Now it is the time. So let's end polio now. So let's concentrate on our efforts in fighting this disease to win this war once and for all. So we encourage Rotarians to donate. Thank you and good morning.
Thank you, District Governor Leody.
Thank you.
Last but not least, may we invite from District 3300, District Polio Plus Subcommittee Chair, Dr. Bernard Chan, to give his opening address on behalf of District Governor Kwan Sito. Dr. Bernard Chan, please.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here. I bring greetings from District 3300 and from Governor Teo Kwan Sui. He sends his apologies as he is not able to be with us. So my dear governors, DRR, Rotarians, Rotractors, and our friends from WHO, it's wonderful to be here. It's great that the Rotractors are organizing this webinar. With Rotaract being elevated, we hope to see more Rotaractors getting involved in I'm sorry, was I muted? Okay. So bring greetings from our governor, Teo Kwan Sui. He sent his apologies as he's not able to join us for today. This is very exciting as Rotaractors being elevated. We hope to see Rotaract being a more active partner in our End Polio Now campaigns in our district as well as internationally. And hopefully we get even more buzz from as Rotaractors bring in more new ideas and more exciting programs for us. And thank you very much for having this and having me here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, district governors and representatives, for your inspiring opening address. They are indeed really heartfelt. And now, it is with great honor and immense pleasure that we welcome our representatives from World Health Organization. But let's first find out more about who they are. All right, so with us today to share with us about polio eradication efforts updates in the Western Pacific region and Southeast Asia region, these speakers are none other than Dr. Tigran Abraham from WHO Pacific region and Dr. Vinod Bura from WHO Region Office for Southeast Asia. If you have any questions at any point in time during the presentation, please type them in the chat box and we will address them accordingly by facilitating them to Dr. Tigran and Dr. Vinod during the Q&A segment after their sharing. 今天我们非常荣幸能够邀请两位来自世界卫生组织的代表，以和我们分享世界卫生组织的消除小儿麻痹症方面的策略语境。接下来的演讲中，若是你们有任何问题，请把问题放在聊天框中输入。First, we will have Dr. Tigran Abraham for WHO Western Pacific region. Dr. Tigran is the technical officer for polio and have been actively working on the expanded program on immunization. He's the regional focal point for polio vaccine, preventable disease and immunization, WHO, and he's a medical doctor and a Master's of Science in Public Health. He works with WHO since 2006 and is with the Western Pacific Region Office since 2015. 首先，我们要热烈的欢迎来自世界卫生组织西滨洋 区区办事处的代表 Dr. Tigran Amragan。首先，让我们分享世界卫生局的西太平泳区的消除小儿麻痹症方面的策略性。掌声请邀请 Dr. Tigran。
Okay, very good morning to everyone. Can you hear me?
Very good, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for this invitation and opportunity to present the global and regional update on polio eradication activities, which I will do with great pleasure right now. So let me share the screen. Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, very clear. Good.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Okay, so I will start with the global update and then we'll follow with the update on the polio eradication activities in the Western Pacific region. And of course, this year, all activities should be viewed from the perspective of the COVID pandemic that we are still going through now. And in early March, when after COVID-19 was declared as pandemic, the GPI's or Polio Oversight Board met on 28 March and made the following recommendations for the program, for the global program. So the recommendations included the following: polio eradication country programs. They were asked to still prioritize response to COVID-19 for the next several months. However, at the same time, AFP and environmental surveillance were requested to be a priority wherever possible, also considering implementation of COVID-19 surveillance activities. At that time, all activities contradicting global guidance on physical distancing were requested to be suspended and postponed, and this resulted in postponing some polio vaccination rounds as a response to the outbreaks in several countries, as well as preventive polio SIAs in several countries, which I will talk about later on. And since that time, many polio-funded staff in many countries have actively supported response to this pandemic, and this particularly included coordination of response through EOC platforms in the countries, development of guidance for integrating AFP surveillance and COVID surveillance systems, reporting suspected COVID-19 cases during polio surveillance visits and contact tracing, building capacity of healthcare workers, communications, engaging community and outreach activities, for example, soap distribution and logistics, as well as many other activities. At the same time, GPI came up with the plan for the continuity of the program in that difficult time, and that plan included 3 phases. The first one, which was called emergency phase, and it was supposed to be continued from March, from that time until end of June. That was the tentative schedule. During that time, polio vaccination, also SIAs, most immunizations campaign have been stopped globally. However, surveillance remained a priority, and many polio staff doing surveillance were reprogrammed to support also COVID-19 surveillance, monitoring and surveillance. And that had to continue until the phase 2, which was called resumption phase. And it was decided tentatively that this phase would start around June, July. And that actually happened also in our countries. I will tell about that later on. So that second phase included resumption of polio vaccination to address both outbreaks and also wild poliovirus eradication as part of restart of all essential immunization activities. And at that time, the programs were requested to adopt short, medium-term strategies as necessary and identify the ways towards phase 3, which is called post-pandemic and still It is to be decided. The dates for that phase still not clear yet. This will be the period with lower risk of COVID-19 that will permit further expansion of other public health services. So let's have a quick overview of the current situation with wild poliovirus cases and VDPV outbreaks. So this is the global map, which is regularly produced by the global program from the HQ level, and represents the number of cases in the last 6 months globally. With the red dots, you can see the wild poliovirus cases, and these are only happening in the two still endemic countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan, over here. And the green dots, yellow dots represent wild vaccine-derived poliovirus type 1 cases globally, and we can see them in the past six last months in Yemen only. And the green dots, the majority of dots on this map represent the cases of vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2. And we see that majority of them are occurring in the African region, as well as in still two endemic countries where we have both wild poliovirus and CVDPV2 outbreaks together. And on 24 October, the IHR Emergency Committee on Polio reaffirmed that public health emergency of international concern continues, which was first declared in May 2014. Here, just to compare the number of wild poliovirus cases in two endemic countries, Afghanistan and Pakistan, and then see that this increased transmission is still continuing in 2020, with overall total 176 cases in whole 2019 and 132 cases up to 20 October this year, which potentially might be compatible by the end of the year with the 2019 or even higher. So what are the main reasons why these CVDPV type 2 outbreaks continue to occur? The main reason is low immunity to type 2, and this is due to low routine immunization coverage in certain areas before the switch from TOPV to BOPV, which happened globally in April 2016. The reason is also declining mucosal immunity to type 2 virus among children who were born after that switch, because they never received type 2 oral polio vaccine. Regional migration patterns leading to missed children in vaccination campaigns, low quality of outbreak response campaigns, as well as use of monovalent OPV type 2, MOPV2, in outbreak responses. This is another additional risk of seeding new outbreaks in areas of low immunization coverage, which we'll see already in African region, as well as in our region in countries experiencing type 2 outbreaks. But there is a currently tool to address, hopefully that can address these risks, this issue of CVDPV2 outbreaks. And this is called novel OPV, novel oral poliovirus type 2 vaccine. What is that? This is just modification of monovalent oral poliovirus type 2 vaccine. And clinical trials so far shown that this NOPV2 provides comparable immunity against poliovirus. At the same time, it is more genetically stable and less likely to revert to a form of the virus that can cause paralysis, as is the case with MOPV2. This increased genetic stability means there is a reduced risk of seeding new CVDPV2 outbreaks compared to the existing MOPV2. However, as I mentioned, only information data from clinical trials for NOPV2 is still available. This vaccine, as of today, was never used in the outbreak response. So how it will behave in that setting, we still need to explore. Okay. So another important step in the global polio program is planning for the introduction of a second dose of IPV because of improved supply of IPV globally. So we know that one dose of IPV provides immunity base against paralysis caused by CVDPV2 and also boosts immunity against poliovirus type 1 and 3 because it contains all three all three types of the in the vaccine. So 2 IPV doses provide protection against CVDPV2 and further boost overall immunity against polioviruses. And eventually withdrawal of OPV is necessary to complete the and then IPV2 is the next step towards. But there are also good news at the global level, and these include the following. So with no wild poliovirus cases detected in Nigeria since 2016, this country was finally removed from the list of wild poliovirus endemic countries. And on 25 August 2020, just several months ago, after 4 years without a single case of wild polio, finally African region has been certified free of wild polio virus. So this is now the 5th WHO region which is certified as polio free. Although we've seen that there are many CVDPV2 outbreaks, which is another discussion point. And just briefly about the priorities for the next 6 months of the global program. So these include basically sustaining surveillance, both AFP and environmental, resume SIAs. The first campaigns already took place in June, July, including also Western Pacific region in the Philippines and Malaysia, and also delivering of package of basic health services. The next priority is to keep focus on NOPV2 and initial rollout of the vaccine in the outbreak settings, which is being done now currently. At the same time, to continue supporting response to COVID-19 pandemic and also securing full program funding in the face of increased post-COVID costs. These are the priorities for the global program in the next 6 months. Now let me briefly speak about the regional update for the Western Pacific region. So eradication of wild poliovirus in the Western Pacific region initiated in 1988, since the Global Polio Eradication Initiative was initiated. And the last case of wild poliovirus was reported in 1997 in the region. And in 2000, the Regional Certification Commission declared the Western Pacific region as free from indigenous wild polio virus. Since that time, since 2000, the post-certification eradication era started in the region, and maintaining polio-free status included maintaining maintaining polio immunity with routine polio vaccines, and also filling immunity gaps during the SIAs, supplementary immunization activities. Included also quality surveillance for poliovirus, AFP as a gold standard, and also environmental surveillance as a supplemental surveillance. Implementing annual risk assessments, laboratory containment, as well as outbreak preparedness and response activities. Let's quickly go one by one. So this is just represents the coverage with 3 doses of polio vaccines in the Western Pacific region last year in 2019. And we can see that the majority of the region, majority of the population in the region has more than 90% coverage with 3 doses of polio vaccines in routine immunization schedules. However, we have some areas and the countries where these indicators are quite low, even below 80%. And this one to show the coverage with 1 dose of IP vaccine in those countries that are still using BOPV in their routine schedules. So in 2019, majority of these countries, they were able to achieve more than 90% coverage with one dose of IPV. However, we have several countries which are still below 80, even 70%, and Papua New Guinea, you can see it's quite low coverage with one dose of IPV. It was just 34% in 2019. To fill these gaps, usually the countries plan and implement supplementary or catch-up vaccination activities. And just to mention several of them in 2019-20, and also I need to speak here about PNG. So as part of response to the CVDPV outbreaks, several rounds and millions of children received BOPV vaccines as well as IPV and MOPV2 to respond these outbreaks. And age groups included children under 5. In some, in PNG, it was under 15. And in Malaysia, we are going through the children under 13 years of age in several areas of the country. So in 2020, 2 countries in the region, Laos, PDR, and PNG, have planned preventive BOPV SIAs for children under 1 with polio vaccine. However, due to COVID-19 pandemic, this was postponed, and currently in November, these countries will resume with that plans and continue with vaccinating these children. And also we have 2 countries in the region, Mongolia and Vietnam, who were not able to introduce a single dose of IPV after the switch until 2018 and early 2019. And this year, these countries planned with catch-up vaccination with IPV for the children missing that dose. However, most probably it will be resumed in the first quarter of 2021, again due to this COVID-19 pandemic. Quickly, surveillance indicators, the main core AFP surveillance indicators in the region. And you can see that at the global, the regional level, performance is well above the regional targets. Although if you look at the 2020, then we can see the number of reported cases as of 26 October dropped significantly, although it's slightly exceeding expected number of cases. And this is the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic, lockdowns and everything, and also shifting the staff from polio surveillance to COVID-19 surveillance. However, the remaining indicators are still within the acceptable targets, and we hope that by the end of the year, as the activity is resuming now, it will improve even further. Environmental surveillance as supplemental surveillance to AFP, also the coverage of that surveillance is increasing in the region, and as of 2019, we have the majority of the region countries in the region having established environmental surveillance to supplement AFP surveillance. In blue, we have we see expansion in Vietnam, which is happening this year, and in blue color, Laos, PDR, and Cambodia were expected to initiate surveillance this year. However, due to this pandemic, it is postponed, and most probably we will continue with these plans next year in 2021. Another important activity is regular annual risk assessments that are done by the regional certification commission and all the national certification committees in the countries. And we see that the majority of the region is considered low risk. However, we have areas, countries which are still under the high risk and medium risk of the polio. And in that countries, actually, almost in all of them, we had already outbreaks of vaccine-derived polio virus, which was kind of expected. The number of polio essential facilities as a part of polio containment, laboratory containment in the region currently is 17, which includes polio laboratories, global, regional, and national. in several countries, as well as vaccine manufacturers, up to 13 in several countries of the region. This is another important work that continues on a regular basis. To increase, further strengthen national capacities in polio outbreak preparedness and response, the first polio outbreak simulation exercise for 4 countries in the region were implemented in 2019. And the scenario for that exercise was actually the emergence and circulation of vaccine-derived polio virus, and it was very important step in increasing in strengthening preparedness and response capacity of the countries. And we planned, based on the feedback, many countries expressed interest in conducting national level surveillance exercises, including also subnational levels. However, due to, again, this COVID-19 pandemic, we postponed this plan to the next year. Probably we will resume again this national level simulation exercises. And annual certification process is ongoing since 2000, which is done by the Regional Certification Commission. And the last meeting was last year in November. And based on the assessment of the national reports and overall performance of the program, the Regional Certification Commission concluded that the region remains free of indigenous and imported wild polio virus transmission. And the next meeting of the RCC will be happening in early November, soon, in 2 weeks. And once the RCC confirms polio-free status of the region, we will have already 20 years polio-free in the Western Pacific region, although we are having outbreaks of CVDPVs in the recent years. So just quickly to speak about the outbreaks of vaccine-derived poliovirus type 1 and type 2, which is affecting currently 2 countries, Philippines and Malaysia. You can see on the map, and you can see the distribution of the cases and the environmental surveillance positive samples. Blue one is type 1 and red one is type 2. And the location of the virus shows us the geography and the vulnerable population groups and movement in the region, which represents another cross-border challenge, because we can see that for the virus, we know there is no border. And if the favorable conditions are present, then the virus can quickly spread and continue paralyzing children. So we have outbreaks genetically linked type 1 and type 2 viruses in the Philippines and Sabah state of Malaysia. Numerous vaccination rounds were implemented in both countries already, millions of children vaccinated. We hope that this will result, along with the increasing performance of AFP and environmental surveillance, this will soon let us stop these outbreaks and continue with maintaining polio-free status of the region. What are the key issues and challenges in front of us? And the key, as we see from the recent outbreaks, is the favorable conditions for VDPV emergence and circulation in some member states. This is happening due to immunity gaps at national and subnational levels, decreased performance of AFP surveillance in several countries and areas, insufficient human financial resources for expansion of environmental surveillance to supplement AFP surveillance, insufficient national capacities for outbreak preparedness and response, and also insufficient compliance to the GAP3 requirements. And the WHO response to this situation includes, first of all, response to the outbreaks in the region. We need to stop them as soon as possible, and also to support member states in ensuring high level of population immunity against poliovirus and also high level performance of AAP and environmental surveillance. Another consideration point for us is to cessation of OPV and switch to IPV only schedule in advance of global certification of poliovirus, which is the only way to make sure that no CVDPV outbreaks will be happening in the future. To continue ensuring strengthening outbreak preparedness and response capacities in the countries and also compliance with the GAP3 requirements. I believe this is the last one. Thank you very much. And I am happy to address any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tigran, for your incredible sharing. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Vinod Bura from World Health Organization Region Office for Southeast Asia. Dr. Vinod Bura is currently working as Medical Officer, EPI, with World Health Organization Jakarta, Indonesia. Dr. Vinod offers nearly 20 years of active and successful experience at local, state, national, and international levels, and has first-hand experience in developing, managing, and implementing immunization policies and programs under challenging environments in diverse roles and agencies, including government and UN in India, Myanmar, and Indonesia. He has coordinated introduction of many new and underutilized vaccines through technical support for policy development and immunization systems strengthening within the global immunization vision strategy. Please welcome Dr. Vinod Bura.
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning, colleague, Rotarians, Rotracts, friends, district governors, and district polio chairs, and all people present on today's call. Also, greetings to my colleague, Dr. Tigran from Manila. Firstly, I would like to thank Rotary for inviting us to be part of the World Polio Day celebrations and discussions, and also to learn about the progress and challenges that we have in order to eradicate polio globally. So thanks for that, and selamat siang to all my Indonesian colleagues. I will continue from where Dr. Tigran has left, and I would like to show you details on the polio program in Southeast Asia region, and a bit more detail on the situation in Indonesia, since we have a large number of participants from Indonesia. So I hope you all can see my screen, please. I hope you can see my screen. Can anybody?
We can, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, as we celebrate Polio Day and look at all the success and achievement, we must not forget from where we are coming. You know, we are coming way back in 1950s when we had large number of polio cases globally, and we used to see these signs of iron lungs and children struggling to breathe in hospitals across the world. So we were coming from a very difficult time when survival for child was very difficult because of a very infectious disease called polio. And way back in 1950s, Dr. Salk developed the injectable polio vaccine, which was used, and later on the oral polio vaccine. And both these vaccines have been key cornerstones to control polio and eliminate transmission and eradicate in many places. So these are the two gentlemen, and you can see the impact of introduction of polio vaccines in America. Very rapidly, the disease disappeared from developed countries and also in developing countries. Currently, we are in this the end game of polio strategy of 2019 to 23. I won't go through all these objectives of the strategy, but the goals are eradicate the disease from wherever it is present. And as my colleague Dr. Tigran mentioned, we have transmission in 2 countries for the wild polio virus and VDPVs in a number of countries. So that's the priority. The second is to strengthen immunization, strengthen our immunization and surveillance systems, and finally to have a certification of eradication by end of 2023. So that's the current plan. And where are we? As you all know, that amongst the 3 type of polio viruses that the disease has, we have already we have eradicated and certified type 2 not seen, and type 3 also has been certified to have been eradicated. So currently we are left only with 1 type of polio virus, the wild polio virus, that we are battling against to eradicate in 2 countries in the world, and VDPVs in a number of areas. Looking at Southeast Asia region, how polio is, what is the situation of polio in Southeast Asia region? Just to let you know, this is one of the world's, one of the 6 WHO regions, and we have 11 member states in this region, which the regional office supports. And we are home to around 2 billion population. That's almost 1/4 of the world's population lives in this part of WHO region. And India and Indonesia are one of the 2 most populous countries in the world. And so it's very important that we maintain and we achieve success in this part of the world. So the Southeast Asia region polio eradication efforts basically go under the overall purview of the regional vaccine action plan. We have an action plan which is endorsed by the regional committees and agreed by all member states. That means all countries agree on this joint plan, and countries will make efforts to achieve these goals and objectives of this plan. And sustaining polio-free status is one of our key milestones and priority program within the Southeast Asia region. Just like to update you that Southeast Asia region was certified polio-free in 2014, and ever since that we have not seen any transmission of wild polio virus in the region. Being home to 1/4 of the world population, it's a challenging task to sustain this transmission, and some of the neighboring countries of this region, for example, Pakistan, which borders India, has a transmission going on. So it's very important and challenging that the region sustains its polio-free status, and number of activities are done in order to sustain this great achievement. So this map shows you the years when the last polio virus was seen in the 11 member states of this region. As you all can see, the last virus was in India in 2011, and 3 years post virus free that the region was certified, and all the countries that you see did achieve interruption of polio transmission quite way back. In fact, countries like Bhutan have been polio free since 1986, and Maldives since 1994. And in spite of being polio free, they're still working on polio and sustaining polio free status. So that's a big credit and achievement to the member states that they are still investing and contributing towards ensuring polio free status. And and marching towards success. I don't know why my slides got stuck. Okay, so as Dr. Tigran also mentioned in his presentations, there are certain key indicators that we need to monitor and sustain when we say that we would like countries would like to be polio free, or how do we ensure that they are still polio free. One of the key success indicators is the non-polio AFP rate that you can see on the left hand side, and also the adequate stool rate that you can see on the right hand side. And as a region, both these indicators are being achieved, although there are pockets of the low coverages, but overall the region is in track for having a sensitive surveillance system to sustain polio free status. Also, number of countries within the region are they have set up supplementary surveillance that we called as environmental surveillance, where polio virus is checked into the sewage system if there is any transmission, which paralysis, which clinical paralysis cases have not been reported, but we would like to see the transmission in sewage system. So apart from polio, the other challenges is on the vaccine-derived polio viruses, and as you heard that these cases do occur when we have low population immunity. Primarily, the routine immunization is not optimal in those areas. So we did have a few VDPV cases, and the last one in the region was in Myanmar in 2019 December, and these cases in Myanmar were on bordering areas, which was between Myanmar and Thailand. Oops, I think there's some technical problem. I can't move my slide. So potentially I'll try to reshare and see if I can, it works better. Sorry for this slight interruption. We are not that good in technology, you know. I hope I can move my slides. Somehow I'm unable to move my slides to the next page.
Yeah, the same happened to me, Dr. Vinod, actually, at some point, but then it worked.
You were lucky.
maybe you can press the left or right button, keyboard button.
Yes, the page down button.
Oh, you're on the wrong screen then. Maybe you can show you can put back on the screen, presentation screen. Choose on the tab.
Okay, and then
yeah,
if I go and share my screen.
Yeah, and then you escape first.
Okay.
Okay, it showed the PowerPoint, right?
Not to me, I don't see. Here is the PowerPoint. If I
Yeah, okay, and then you share again, reshare it again.
Is this visible now?
Yeah, it is.
Let's hope I can go down next slide. Oops, it does not move. Oh, sorry that. I don't know if I have.
Okay, maybe you can stop sharing and then don't share your screen first, but see on your tab, see on your taskbar whether you can see the PowerPoint.
On my taskbar.
Yeah, have you seen your PowerPoint?
I can.
PowerPoint showed?
Yeah, on my I can see the PowerPoint.
Yeah, select the PowerPoint showed and then press escape. Don't share your screen. Don't share your screen yet.
Okay, can you all see now?
No, but after that you can share your screen. Now you can share your screen again.
Okay, thanks. Is this visible?
Okay.
Can you see the slide? So I think I won't go full screen, but we'll continue from here. No. Okay. So as I mentioned, Myanmar did report a vaccine-derived polio virus of a type 1, and these cases occur when there is low routine immunization, and these cases happen in areas which are bordering with Thailand. And you know, usually on border areas, health systems are weak. There is migration of people, and sometimes porous borders and systems are weak. So we did see a type 1 VDPV happening last year in Myanmar, and the government of Myanmar responded very, I would say, aggressively. They did large-scale campaigns in that area. Just for everybody's knowledge, when we have a vaccine-derived polio virus or a wild polio virus, the response is the same, that we need to vaccinate in a large, wider area and enhance population immunity in a short period of time in order to interrupt the transmission. So Myanmar did a good job, and by doing a couple of vaccination rounds and good quality, good coverage, they were able to interrupt the transmission in Myanmar. Just some photos to show in bordering areas, it's quite challenging to take vaccines for every child out there. I would now focus slightly on the Indonesian polio program and what are the issues and challenges, and the recent polio case in Papua, and how did we respond to that. So in Indonesia, our routine immunization coverage, that's the oral polio 4 doses that we need, are fairly good enough. However, saying that, I do acknowledge that there are pockets in a number of areas where we see a decline in coverage, which poses risk. And again, in 2020, we are seeing slight decline in coverage. Again, COVID is a factor for all this decline, but we hope to enhance these coverages by aggressive vaccination in coming months. In Indonesia, we also have a huge network of environmental surveillance to look into polio virus into sewage system, and a number of provinces, as you can see, have environmental sampling done on periodic basis, which also gives us confidence that there's no transmission, whether for vaccine virus or wild virus in the community.
Sorry for Dr. Vinodpura. Could you please to delete the annotation? Could you please press the upper button on the Zoom? You can see view option.
Yeah.
And then check the annotate, and then disable for other annotation.
So erase.
Yeah.
And then
annotate.
Sorry.
No. Actually, you can delete unload everyone to annotate.
I go on
view option and then find the option that you unload other to annotate.
I go on the annotate option and then not on this. Sorry, can you please repeat? How do I do that?
Yeah, okay. Nice. Thank you.
Repeat.
Okay, and so as I mentioned, Indonesia being a very vast country with over 17,000 islands and very dispersed settings, sustaining routine immunization is quite challenging and very daunting task. We have many hard to reach areas and thousands of islands where communities live. So we periodically conduct risk assessment to see where we have polio risk and then design appropriate strategies to mitigate the risk in the country. And the risk assessment is based on coverages, based on quality of surveillance and other local factors, including the local capacity of health systems. As my colleague showed that we do have transmission in our neighboring country, and that's the border between Malaysia and Indonesia, which is quite a porous border. You can see this Sabatik Island, part of is Indonesia and part of is Malaysia, and there's quite a frequent movement of fishing communities in those areas. So as Wipro has done vaccination, so Indonesia is also currently vaccinating the population in this area, and the campaigns are ongoing. I just wanted to share this. The last year in 2019, Indonesia reported a vaccine-derived polio virus, a type 1, which was in the highlands right up here in Papua province in Yahukimo district, which is a very hard to reach area out there, and this was in tribal population, and the health services and routine immunization was not optimal in these areas, and because of low population immunity and low immunization, the vaccine mutated and caused paralysis in children in one child out there. We also detected healthy children through contact sampling who were positive in this area. So in order to stop the transmission and mitigate any further spread of disease, the government launched a very aggressive and rapid response to vaccinate children. As always, a risk assessment was done as to where is the highest risk in Papua. So we could see the risk was beyond Papua. Also in West Papua, we had risk because of low coverage and movement of population in these areas. And accordingly, 2 rounds of oral polio vaccination was conducted for children under 15 because of potentially low coverage in previous years. And you can see that health workers going in very difficult terrains and difficult settings to vaccinate every child and every time that were there. These were the coverages from both the rounds, and the first and the second round. As you know, the second round was better than the first round in terms of access, number of children vaccinated. However, in this highland areas, we still had red coverage, red colors, because we could not reach some children in very hard to reach areas where and there are no roads or connectivity is very difficult to reach. And these are some photographs of how communities were accessed and vaccinated. We vaccinated through schools for children from 6 to 15 and vaccinated in communities for children from birth to 5 years. Also, Indonesia vaccinated all travelers who went to Papua or who came out of Papua in order to mitigate any spill of the disease outside Papua region. And we saw a number of travelers getting vaccinated. They went either by air or by sea or by land to Papua. Just to show local leaders' engagement and some of the hard to reach areas, a number of areas were only accessed by helicopters. So you can imagine the cost of vaccination as well as challenges in reaching communities in hard to reach areas are immense and needs a very coordinated and sustained effort. And at this point, I would also like to acknowledge and thank Rotary's contribution in the Papua response. They did provide very valuable support, not only through manpower, but also advocacy and resources to respond to the challenge in Papua. The surveillance in Papua was enhanced, as you can see, compared to 17, 18, 19, 20 had a pretty strong surveillance, and that ensured that we did not miss any further transmission. and just in over a year's time, an outbreak response assessment, independent assessment was done, which concluded that there is no evidence of any further circulation of polio virus in Papua. Since it's a World Polio Day and we are with Rotarians, I thought of sharing and acknowledging the excellent work Rotary has been doing in terms of polio eradication. Rotary was the one which launched the Pulse Polio in Philadelphia in 1985, and the success and the encouragement then led to the World Health Organization making a declaration in the 1998 Assembly urging member countries to adopt for a global polio resolution. So we did see very good leadership from Rotary in terms of initiative for polio eradication. And Rotary's contribution in last 2 to 3 decades of this whole journey has been immense, and their promise still sustains, and they would like to see a polio-free world, and we all are together in this vision, and we see huge investments from Rotary at all levels, which is a very strong sign of collaboration as well as continued support to countries. Rotary's contribution has contributed in this whole effort of saving millions of lives, and millions of children who could have been paralyzed have not been paralyzed. So I think this is an excellent example in global health security and sustained efforts to keep countries polio free and make countries polio free which had any or has any transmission. I think this was very well said by Gates that Rotary is the heart and soul of polio eradication. And Rotarians and friends that you all are on today's webinar, and all your friends and your clubs which work tirelessly to celebrate Polio Day, also to help in the vaccination programs worldwide and in clubs that you all represent, is a very commendable work, which we highly appreciate. I was just going through this magazine, and the Times magazine recognizes a Rotarian as one of the 100 most influential people in the world. So you guys are very powerful. You can make a big contribution to the society, and Rotarians have been doing an excellent work and shouldering with the other GPI partners, that together we shall see the end of polio in this world out here. Just a word of caution out here. We are in this era of pandemic for COVID. There is a lot of talk on vaccine hesitancy. Complacency can set in. We shouldn't feel fatigued at this stage. It's the last mile, and it's the most challenging and difficult part of the whole program. And we should not give up, or we should still stay strong and face this challenge of reaching the last mile. And definitely we shall see the end of polio in the years to come. So if I have to just summarize, what are the priorities to sustain polio-free Southeast Asia region? Again, the routine immunization with oral polio vaccines and IPV is the fundamental and backbone. And as Rotarians, I would urge all of you to kindly keep reminding communities that they should take their routine vaccination seriously and ensure that their children have taken all the recommended vaccines in their countries, which will definitely include polio, so that we don't have children unvaccinated or under-vaccinated children. We also need a strong surveillance system to be ongoing, and we see countries still sustaining that. We need a good outbreak response and preparedness plans. Also, our priorities will be to look at subnational data to see are there any pockets of risk in the country and how this risk can be mitigated. Maintaining the laboratory performance is a critical part of the polio program. Labs play a very crucial role in terms of identifying or directing the program where the transmissions are occurring, and also giving confidence that the cases are not infected with polio virus. Last but not the least, cross-border collaboration for surveillance and immunization remains a priority. The virus knows no border, and we saw in a number of instances where bordering areas had weak coverages, and the virus popped out there, whether it was in Myanmar or was in the Malaysian border or in the Papua areas. These were all remote bordering areas. So we must keep a close eye and collaborate with countries and regions to ensure that we have better collaboration and we can take care of all the bordering areas. So I would like to thank Rotary, which has been core of the whole polio eradication program, along with all the other agencies, namely Gates Foundation, Gavi, UNICEF, CDC, as well as number of other NGOs and medias, plus the member states of WHO, which have been tirelessly working to achieve polio-free status and sustain worldwide. So thank you, Rotarians, for giving us this opportunity, and I'm happy to take any questions for any further clarifications. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Binoy, for the insightful and informative sharing. We will now be having the Q&A session with both speakers. If any of you have any questions, please put your question into the panel below and they will be addressed by the speaker. 若是你们有什么问题，就把它输入进聊天中，所以我们可以让讲演们回答。
Terima kasih Dr. Tigran dan Dr. Vinod atas sharing yang diberikan. Sekarang kami akan mengadakan sesi tanya-jawab yang akan langsung dijawab dengan para speakers. Silakan submit pertanyaannya di kolom chat di bawah ini.
Alright, so for the first question, which is for Dr. Tigran, has polio experience contributed for COVID response? So perhaps Dr. Tigran, you can give some insights on this.
Yeah, thank you very much. So this is a really good question because definitely, and as I mentioned in my presentation, globally and in the region, Western Pacific region, polio-supported, polio-funded staff, both in the immunization programs, outbreak response staff, and surveillance staff, they were reprogrammed to support COVID-19 pandemic response activities as well. And this is not the first time when polio structures, polio staff are supporting other public health interventions. It's happening with the measles, rubella programs and many other programs because let's say, for example, when we are doing the same outbreak response or preventive polio activities, this is usually as much as possible supplemented by additional public health interventions like vitamin A, deworming, etc., etc. So polio structures and polio activities are usually widely used as an entry point to reach the unreached population, hard to reach populations and areas. And definitely that was also the case to support COVID-19 response activities and especially surveillance. Over.
Thank you for the insights.
For next questions.
Can you show the question, please? Okay.
For Dr. Vinod Bura, the questions from District Rotary Chair PP Karisma from Rotary Club of Jakarta Gambir. How can we differentiate when a child has weakness or paralysis if this is due to polio virus or not?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think this is a very pertinent and relevant questions. Children do get paralysis or weakness in either their upper limbs or the legs. So, in order to detect polio transmission, we have this surveillance system which is called as acute flaccid paralysis surveillance, whereby in all hospitals and clinics, doctors or clinicians or health workers, whenever they see a child which has weakness in any limb or any arms or legs, that child is reported through the AFP surveillance network. His stool samples are collected, two stool samples are collected 24 hours apart, and then they are tested in WHO accredited laboratories. And the laboratory can tell that this paralysis has happened due to polio virus or not. So this surveillance system is prevalent all over the world. And even in Indonesia, more than 10,000 hospitals on a weekly basis send reports that whether they have seen any such child or no. And if they have seen such child, they will immediately collect samples and the laboratory will test them. So we can then distinguish whether the weakness is due to polio infection or some other causes. Please note that there will be cases of paralysis even after polio is eradicated, because there are other viruses and other diseases which cause paralysis in children. For example, we have neuritis, we have Guillain-Barré syndrome, we have transverse myelitis. So paralysis will happen, but those paralysis should not happen because of polio. So there's a very strong and robust surveillance system in place to detect and rule out whether polio is involved, polio virus is responsible for those paralysis. Thank you.
Thank you. So for the next question, Dr. Vinod mentioned wild breakout. What does it mean? What are the chances of a breakout despite a clean bill in any area? And if yes, why? By PAG Tharumaga from Rotary Club of Penang, Malaysia.
Thank you. Is it because wild outbreak, or I could not fully understand the question? If my colleague Rotarian can please explain that.
Yeah, so for one of the part you mentioned about a breakout. So what does that mean? Is there a propagation of the people receiving this disease, or is it being in a more controlled fashion? So are there any situations where this whole case itself will accelerate, maybe because of some environmental changes or some situations that cause this to become even more propagated?
Okay, polio cases, whether wild polio virus or vaccine polio virus, even a single case is considered as outbreak. One single case in any part is considered as outbreak. And the majority of the cases happen in areas where our routine immunization is low, and that happens when sometimes the population is a migratory population. They move up and down and are not stable, or they don't live for long in any particular area. So health services, including vaccination services, are not made available to them, or they are deprived of those services. And in such population, nomadic populations or tribal populations which move from place to place, uh, we are likely to see emergence of vaccine derived polio virus, and that's what we say an outbreak has happened in that particular community. I hope I've been able to explain this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vinod Bura. For next questions. The questions is for Dr. Tigran. Could you please tell us about financial sustainability of polio in WHO Pacific Region Office? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. This is really important for us. And in the recent years, we are experiencing quite difficult situation with the overall GPI support to the region, as the global program moving forward towards the global polio eradication. The GPI has a plan of sunsetting, kind of withdrawing slowly in phased manner from global polio eradication activities, and kind of increasing responsibility and implementation support by the countries themselves. And definitely polio-free regions are considered as the lower priority from that perspective. And year by year, the financial support to our regions like Euro, like Vipro, and others also decreasing. And this, at the same time, we still have, you can see a lot of challenges like the outbreaks, which are happening in several countries. It's not wild polio virus, but this is the polio virus due to vaccine, which still causes paralysis and even death of children. And many countries are still not in a position to fully support even all routine activities to make sure the highest level performance of the program and prevent emergence of such outbreaks. So this is the big challenge for us. I need to thank our Rotarian partners here for continuous and great support to the region and the countries in the region, and especially for the last year in the Philippines and PNG, the great support to the outbreak response and preventive BOPB-SIAs, and also involvement in the physical involvement in the outbreak response activities in the Philippines. That this is great support and it helped a lot. However, still, I think we are facing, and in the future, in the coming years, this challenge will be increasing for the region, the financial sustainability of the polio eradication activities in several countries. I'm not speaking about the whole region, but several countries are still dependent on external support. Over.
Thank you for the amazing insights, Dr. Tigran. So for our next question, Dr. Vinoy, what is Indonesia's plan to protect population in Sibatik Island in terms of polio? Do you have any insights on this?
Okay, thank you. So yes, Sabatic Island, as we showed, that it's a island which is divided between Indonesia and Malaysia. So there has been some polio vaccination response on the Malaysian side. Indonesia has also started vaccination, and they are doing injectable polio vaccine campaign currently, which is ongoing out there. To protect children from polio disease. So the government already reviewed that, and the Indonesian polio expert committee also looked at the situation, and based on their recommendations, already a polio campaign is ongoing there. There is also strong effort to enhance surveillance along the Indonesian border side of the Sabatik Island, and also efforts being made to strengthen routine immunization in these bordering areas. So I think the government has taken up necessary steps in order to protect the Indonesian population from polio in that particular pocket. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vino. For next questions. For both speakers, do you see that COVID-19 will also be treated the same as the polio disease in the future?
Tigran, you want to go ahead, start?
Well, yeah, let me say something, then you can contribute, please. So, as of now, we still don't have much knowledge, very little knowledge about the COVID-19 virus and its behavior. So it's very difficult to predict how. I mean, we don't have full. I think the global level still doesn't have the full understanding of the virus protecting measures and preventions. So still time needed to understand all these features in details. And based on that, it's very difficult to predict how it will be treated in the future, same as polio or not. It's just I think it's not possible to say right now. That would be my answer. Over to you, Dr. Renaud, please.
Thank you. So, Ibo, this COVID is a 10-month-old disease. It started in January or late December, and we are in, say, in October now. It's 10 months, and it's very challenging to understand a disease within 10 months, and also then to predict how it will behave in coming months and years. Although the good news is that there is a huge global research going on to develop therapeutics for this disease, to develop vaccines to counter this disease, to develop good diagnostic tools for this the COVID-19 pandemic. So we'll have to wait and see how the situations evolve. And it is premature or a bit too early to predict how things will go forward for COVID at this point of time. But the only silver lining is that we have good experience of handling pandemics and outbreaks worldwide. So countries are getting prepared and are making all investments to handle this pandemic. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much to both of our amazing speakers for their enlightening and enriching sharing. I believe that everyone has benefited so much from the sharing itself and understood more about polio eradication efforts. Now, we would like to facilitate a lesson learned session to consolidate our learning for today. And facilitating that lesson learned session will be PDG Rodolfo Bamota from District 3410.
Before going to PDG Rodolfo, perhaps we would want to ask both speakers if there is any last words that you both can share in regard to the polio eradication effort. Dr. Tigran and Dr. Vinod, the stage is yours.
Oh, okay, so should I go first?
Yes, Tigran, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, again, thank you so much for inviting me to this opportunity to present the global update and the most important, the regional update for to the audience, to our partners. Thank you very much for continuous support to the region, to the overall global polio eradication initiative, and to the region particularly, to our challenging the countries that facing big challenges still, even being the region being polio free for 20 years almost. So we can see that actually we see a transition of polio in the recent years. So the whole initiative started as eradication of wild polio virus, and it almost succeeded. I mean, 5 regions are certified as free of indigenous wild polio virus, but we can see many outbreaks due to vaccine-derived polio virus are still occurring in the countries, in the regions which are free from wild polio virus, and paralysis and deaths of children is still happening due to the vaccine used, due to the virus used in the oral polio vaccine. So that's another shift in the, I think, in the epidemiology of the polio, which brings us to consider the along with considering the regions as free from wild polio virus, we need to understand that there's still, until the global cessation of use of OPV, the countries with the suboptimal performance in vaccination, routine vaccination and surveillance are still under big threat of having polio outbreaks due to vaccine-derived polio viruses. And this, I think, should be in the radar of the global program as well. And I think support still will be required to these countries until the global polio eradication happens in the coming years. I will stop here probably, and my colleague Dr. Vinod can also contribute to this. Thank you so much again, and have a nice weekend.
Thank you. And so if I have to just quickly look back and summarize, polio has brought a lot of capacity and strengths to public health programs and governments worldwide. It has set up a huge network of public health epidemiologists, huge network of laboratories, trained manpower, capacities to respond to vaccine preventable disease. So countries have benefited immensely from polio program. It also has led to increased community acceptance of vaccine, because polio vaccine worked and showed post polio vaccination, good routine immunization, the disease can be eliminated from the community. So polio program has the right tools, they have the right vaccines, they have the right strategies which work and has worked in almost all countries that we are now so close of stopping the transmission globally. And we have seen success in most parts of the world in terms of polio program. So I would say a lot of good things have happened because of the polio initiative. And Rotary has been a strong ally ever since the start of this whole program. We still have not finished the job. So we must continue and get rid of this last pocket. And we must focus in countries to keep our guard up, which is through good routine immunization and good community awareness on importance of vaccination. So communities don't go into the complacency factor that they no longer need polio vaccine. They still need polio vaccine as they required some time back, So we must continue to work in order to enhance communities' knowledge on polio vaccination and strengthen routine immunization, and use this whole polio infrastructure to respond to other vaccine preventable diseases. Thank you very much.
Thank you both speakers once again for your amazing sharing, and we have taken so many valuable points from today's sharing itself. And right now we would love to provide some tokens of appreciation to both of our speakers for giving us their valuable time, as well as being so generously in sharing their knowledge and experience about ending polio itself. All right, so we would love to present a plaque of appreciation. And first up, we will have, with our greatest appreciation, we hereby present Dr. Vinod Verma from WHO SEARO for your unwavering support and unrelenting guidance that help in our global polio eradication understanding. Thank you, Dr. Verma.
And next, with our greatest appreciation, we hereby present Dr. Tigran Avagian for your unwavering support and unrelenting guidance that help in global polio eradication understanding.
Thank you very much.
Thank you both speakers once again. So we have come to the end of the first segment of this webinar. And in the second segment of this webinar, we have invited Rotary representatives from 4 districts to share with us on polio eradication efforts that they have done. 接下来我们很高兴邀请 来自4个地区的代表人士来讲示一下，让我们看他们对小儿麻痹症有什么做法。
Pada segmen kedua webinar ini, kami mengundang Rotary Representatives dari 4 distrik untuk menyampaikan tentang upaya pemberantasan polio yang telah Rotary lakukan.
So to start off, we will be playing a video update from District 3410 on the topic of club activities in District 3410 in celebrating End Polio Now.
Dear Rotarians, Rotaractors, and friends of Rotary, polio eradication is one of Rotary's most significant efforts. Rotary and partners has helped immunize more than 2.5 billion children and reduce polio cases up to 99.9% in the whole world. In Indonesia, End Polio Now started in 1988. $6 million were given by Rotary International in the forms of vaccines, equipments, medical team, and other supports to District 340 under District Governor Willie Wiguna. 2014, Indonesia is certified as polio-free, and 2020, Africa is certified as polio-free. District 3410 celebrates together with Africa and expressing this by creating a compilation video of End Polio Now activities in all areas in District 3410. We also make many activities and support contribution to Polio Plus. Rotarians and Rotaractors in the whole world and in District 3410 will continue to support End Polio Now until polio is eradicated from the whole world. Rotary opens opportunities.
slide that I took on my phone about a polio outbreak in Sabah. But just now, Dr. Vinod has already mentioned about this, so we can just move on. Next slide, please. So this was the meeting which took place 13th of March 2020. We have representatives from District 3300 and 3310 together at UNICEF's office to talk about the polio outbreak in Sabah. Next slide. And then present from WHO are Dr. Jacqueline Loh Ingru as well as Dr. Corey Koyat. So this was at the Putrajaya UNICEF office. Okay, next slide, please. So from this meeting, the World Health Organization actually informed us that they have approved over 2.5 million doses of MOPV2. So these are the oral vaccines to be supplied through UNICEF for polio outbreak in Sabah. And in conjunction with this, after this meeting, our Sabah team actually worked closely to apply for the Rotary Foundation Polio Plus grant. Because besides the vaccines, you need manpower, you need people to be out there to look for these people. Now, a lot of these are not the residents, because if they are the residents, they would go for the vaccines. A lot of them are illegal migrants, so they're hiding somewhere, they will not surface. So we need a lot of people to go out into the villages, in the jungles, and search for these people, because that is the reason why polio vaccinations are so difficult, because we need actually a lot of people involved and a lot of logistics involved to get out to these people who are infected. Next slide. So we have got a Polio Plus grant of close to 30,000. That is about 120,000 ringgit. So in District 3310, a Polio Action Committee Sabah was formed, headed by PDG Datuk Haji Zaini Abdul Okasa, and with his team of Rotarians from Sabah. So the Rotarians work closely with the Sabah Department of Health to help with the oral polio immunization work. And this is to be done to all children aged below 13 years old throughout Sabah. So the Polio Plus grant funds are to provide transportation to the rural areas or boats to the islands during massive immunization works for volunteers to meet deadlines, provide meals, drinking water during the whole field immunization work. So per field trip is about 8 hours. Unfortunately, because of COVID-19, this actually has been delayed. It was supposed to have been done by about March, April, May timeframe, but it was actually delayed already because of COVID-19, unfortunately. But definitely there will be plans to move forward. Next slide. And so that's an update on the ground about the eradication of polio and the vaccinations. And on the other hand, we are also continuing to raise funds for Polio Fund. And this year, because of COVID-19, it is actually very difficult to do the traditional walk, to do the traditional cycling and all that. And in Singapore, we are not allowed to have gatherings of more than 5 people per cluster. In Sabah right now, in fact, is locked down again. So there are many limitations that we have to work with. So unlike Indonesia, where you can go out, in mass and all that, within our district, it's very constrained. So we have to work within the constraints, and we came up with a different program. So instead of just October month to commemorate Polio Day, we actually came up with a much longer period. Now let's take a look at the Step Up to End Polio program, where this is more than just 1 month or just 1 day. Next slide, please. Taiwan, next slide, please. We have formed a committee of different regional chairs from Johor, Northern Johor, Southern Johor, Kuching, rest of Sarawak, Sabah, as well as we have representative from Singapore as well as Brunei as well. So the committee started working on this right from July, and we launched the Step Up to End Polio to the club presidents and to Rotarians on the 3rd of August. Taiwan, are you having problem with the slides?
I guess she's having a problem with her connection instead.
Oh, okay. Slide 13. Next. Two slides forward, please. Okay, so we came up with this idea of an 8 weeks challenge. And the 8 weeks challenge, instead of having a mass run, mass walk, mass cycling, it can be done on your own, at home, individually, small classes, like in Singapore, it's classes of 5. So we came up with the 8-week steps challenge, either to accomplish 250,000 or 500,000 steps as a weight loss challenge, because many people are not very healthy during the COVID-19. So health is number one right now. So we want to encourage Rotarians to be more aware of their health. So we do both the steps and the weight loss, and we included road tractors as well. Can we remove to annotate, please? Thank you. And for people who are not keen to do any steps, they are not keen to do any weight loss, they say, I'll just donate. Yes, you can make a donation or you can pledge on one of the participants. So each participant, for each category, the participation fee is US $35. So we make it very, very affordable. US $35 is about 50 Singapore dollars or 50 Brunei dollars and 150 ringgit. So we keep it very affordable, starting from US $35. And of course, any Rotarians who can afford more, they can actually do more. And they would also encourage their friends and their fellow Rotarians and family members to participate and also pledge on other participants. Next slide, please. So the whole calendar events from August to October, started from 3rd August, announcement to the clubs, and the start of participation registration. 29 August, we did a flag off with a virtual event, and it starts the 8-week steps and weight loss challenge. And we put them into chat groups, including the retractors as well. And we have on 24th October being the World Polio Day, we have a series of activities. The World Polio Day walks in clusters subject to the safe distancing. World Polio Day dinners, again in small clusters subject to safe distancing. Step Up to End Polio Virtual Summit, as well as a one-to-one donation match by our District Governor Raja Mohan Munisami for all individual donations to Polio Fund of at least US $1,000 by 31st October 2020. So next, please. And I'm very happy to actually announce that as of 29th October, we have raised a total of US $64,676.64. From the last report that we generated, this should be the second highest in Asia. Amongst all the districts in Asia, this should be the second highest after one of the Japanese districts. Traditionally, District 3310 has always been top in previously the Zone 6B, and last year in Region 6, and this year, hopefully, we are aiming to be top in Region 12. So because the zones and regions have changed already. So we are moving forward, and this is still ongoing, and we hope to cross US $1,000, $100,000, sorry. Okay, next slide, please. So in summary, in terms of participation in this whole program, as of 24th October, we have 50 Rotary clubs, 7 Rotract clubs, 3 countries, 600 Rotarians, Rotractors, family members, and friends who participated in our Step Up to End Polio fundraiser program during this from August to October. Next slide, please. And I'm also pleased to announce the clubs that the top 10 clubs in terms of Polio Plus contributions. This is data as of 29th October. And top in our list is Rotary Club Pandan Valley, which is the home club of our District Governor Raja Mohan Munisamy, $10,435. And Rotary Club Singapore, the largest Rotary Club in Singapore, 8723.64. And Kinabalu Sutra from Sabah, 4330. And then the rest of the clubs. And my home club is Rotary Club Suntec City. We're also part of the top 10. So we're still ongoing raising funds. This is not the end yet. Next slide, please. So as part of the flag off, we had conducted the virtual flag off, where we had invited VIPs and dignitaries from Rotary International as well as TRF. We have past RI President John Jem, who is also the trustee chair-elect and the End Polio Now campaign, Countdown to History campaign committee chair. We have past RI Vice President Michael K. McGovern, who is also the RI Polio Plus committee chair, our RI director, Dr. Sergeant Liu, our trustee, PDG Aziz Memon. We also have a past RI director and Polio Now Countdown to History campaign committee vice chair, Robert L. Hall, and a series of all others in our region who are present with us, including our RRFC, PDG Jason Lim, and our region's and Polio Now coordinator, PDG Chai Wai, and our ARFC, Michael E., and of course, our district governor and our DRFC. So, and the next on the event. So these are pictures. Next slide, please. So the dignitaries spoke on different topics. We tried to invite the WHO. We tried to invite Dr. Jacqueline Loeb. Unfortunately, we were not able to get her. So we had this flag off event on Zoom. Next slide, please. And a few of us gathered physically, small group, and we actually did a physical flag off while being on Zoom connected with the rest of the districts in 3 countries. That's on 29th August. Next slide, please. And then next slide. And then we started planning while doing all the 8-week challenge. We started planning for World Polio Day. So on World Polio Day itself, we have this one day, one focus, and ending polio. So in the morning, we have Step Up to End Polio walks. Again, it's subject to regional or club clusters because Singapore, 5 people, Sabah, total lockdown. So there are a lot of restrictions all over, but we try to work within the restrictions and observe social distancing. And in the evening, again, subject to social distancing, we hold World Polio Day dinners. And we also held a Step Up to End Polio Summit as a closing to announce the results of the winners and announce the results of the funds raised. Next slide, please. And there are snapshots of photos during this 8 weeks. So there are walks being organized. This is actually the End Polio Walk on the 24th October, World Polio Day in the morning for different groups, social distancing. And we try to observe that. This is Singapore. Next slide. In Johor. And Johor, they also managed to get media coverage to cover Johor Rotarians taking part in polio eradication walk. Next slide. Next slide, please. And this is Sabah. Sabah also same thing. They managed to get the media coverage. And this current slide is Kuching, Sarawak. And in Kuching, Sarawak, we have the oldest participant in the steps challenge, 91-year-old Rotarian, and he completed his 250,000 steps. Now, next slide, please. We also have Brunei, and Brunei, they did the jungle walks. The Brunei Rotarians, they are a lot more adventurous, and led by our IPDG, Jeff Yong, and immediate past district First Lady Betty. Next slide, please. On 24th October, we also have small clusters of Step Up to End Polio dinners, as well as Step Up to End Polio fellowships throughout the whole 8-week plus the 24th October night itself. So this whole 8-week campaign bonded many Rotarians together. So it's not just fundraising, it's also membership engagement, it's also potential new member attraction as well, and also having the Rotractors together with us participating in this 8-week program. Next slide, please. So we did the Step Out to End Polio Summit on 24th October evening. And this time around, besides past RI President John Germ and Robert Hall and RI Director, we also managed to secure the time with our past RI President, our RI President nominee, Jennifer Jones. Next slide, please. Incidentally, Jennifer Jones is also a Rotary Foundation trustee and the End Polio Now Countdown to History Campaign Committee co-chair. And past RI Director Robert Hall, he actually was very generous. He offered all the winners of the 5 categories of challenge 1,000 US recognition points to all the winners of the 5 categories of challenge. So next slide, please. In the midst of our participants, we also have a participant who is a polio survivor from Tawau, East Malaysia. So he was with us in the STEPS challenge, and he was also with us at the summit to share his story. So nothing beats listening to somebody who is close within us from Malaysia. He actually was affected by polio below 1 year old. So, but he was strong enough, he persevered, and he was successful, and he's also a Toastmasters member. Next. So we just quickly flash through the winners of the weight loss categories. We have the 3 kg, 6 kg, as well as the 8 kg winners, and then the 250,000 steps and the 500,000 steps winners. And incidentally, we have many Rotarians who crossed 1 million steps, and there was even one Rotarian who crossed 2.5 million steps. In fact, he achieved 2.6+ million steps. And these were screenshots of the Zoom event. And to the last slide, just move forward. So every child deserves the right to walk, run, and play without fear of paralysis. So let's protect our children from polio. So whether you're a Rotarian, you're a Rotractor, you're one of the leaders, no matter where you are, do donate to end polio, to the polio fund, to end polio now. Every $1 Rotary commits to WHO and UNICEF for polio immunization will be tripled by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So do end polio now and make history today. Thank you very much. Apologies for the technical issues.
Thank you. And now may we invite past President Susan Chan, also Foundation and Polio Chair of District 3450.
Hi, everybody. No worry, my speech is quite short because to save time and it's overrun, I know. So let me share some of my clubs, so our district clubs photos. So maybe can somebody help? Maybe, oh, I have some problems here too. So can help to share my photos, which I've sent you before. Is it possible to share? Let's see. To share content in the Dropbox. Okay, so I can't do it. Can anybody hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you clearly.
Okay, so I can help to share my PowerPoint last night I sent it to you. Because since I lost it. Anyway, so our clubs are very supportive, and because of the pandemic, we can't organize like last year. Around 500 Rotarians gathered, and then in the peak, and we have very amusements and activities organized. So that's why we have the help from many AGs and PP that they promoted in the JPMs, and to our and expectations, there are lots of the clubs. They organize themselves and form the fellowship to have the end polio walk in various parks, and then even we think of the most important is to raise the funds. So we have a photo competition to encourage them to raise more funds, and the criteria is they have to donate a minimum of $400 in order to participate for the competitions. So we have a very good results, and we are now receiving lots of the photos, many different poses. So I can show you. Can you help to send it here? Oh, still I'm losing.
Yeah, we can see the photos.
Oh yeah, thanks. So you see, we have various clubs. So you can see the left one, the one with blue sunglasses is our DG Eric. Next page, please. And then you can see, if scroll down, you can see they are in the various parks. And also, if you scroll down, you can see many different poses. Yeah, scroll down, please. Yeah, you see, they want to have the champion, so they make very funny and different poses. And let's scroll down, please. Like they jump in the water, and we have the Rotary park, which we donated. And next, please. Yeah, near the central and with children and family. Next, please. Yeah, this is the central main district. And I think Count Golden Mile. Yes, we have still some social distance. A DG area in the middle. And also we have DG and the family of DG area. And from at present, we have around, I think at least, I think 100, no, around 50,000, no, 10,000 US dollars coming. And they are, and our photo competition will be ended November the 30th. So we still have many more photos to come. Okay, this is my sharing. Let's end polio. Thank you.
Thank you. Lastly, may we invite District Polio Plus Chair PP Raymond Siriaco of District 3810 on the topic of put in the period, let's end polio now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me. So let me just share a little bit about what we've done. But let me show you some pictures. Hopefully this will come out. We've attended meetings alongside World Health Organization, Red Cross, because we're not only dealing with polio in the Philippines, we still have to give vaccines for measles, for rubella, and of course dengue. So we coordinate with them to let them know that we're not just helping out with the funding, but we can help them on the ground, because we also have, that's also our focus on maternal and child care. Now, we also had our own Zone 10A Philippines Polio Summit for all the 10 districts in the Philippines. So we've had our campaign, we've had our videos shown all over different LED displays around the country. And yeah, just to give you an idea about places where it's available, this is in Chinatown in the Philippines, very popular place where we had regular display of our End Polio campaign. So this is, we deliberately put it on high traffic area so it becomes very visible. We see the importance of really letting people know the importance of eradicating polio. And I think what we've learned from COVID here is until everybody's safe, nobody's safe. See, we still have two countries where it remains to be endemic in Pakistan and Afghanistan. And we know people are wondering if it's only in those two countries, how come we're still doing this? As we say, until everybody's safe, nobody's safe. So all of the 10 districts in the Philippines, I myself, among other coordinators, coordinated all our activities. Now that during the pandemic, we really have to coordinate efforts since we have to maintain distancing. So most of our meetings are conducted through Zoom. See, but we tried our best. We had our motorcade during the October 24 World Polio Day in unity with all others. And then this is where, of course, our own district, we have our own coordinator for all the 10 districts in the Philippines, Mary Ann Solomon. Okay. So we continue to have this on display for the next several weeks. We even had our district governor, Odi, deliver a talk. We all had to wear masks and try our best to keep distance. But we did our best to be able to get the word out that it's so important to have everyone involved because nobody's safe until everybody's safe. So the lesson of polio and the lesson of COVID makes us realize that we are just one world. We cannot consider ourselves apart from everybody else. No? And in the last two countries, I've been to both Pakistan and Afghanistan. It's very heroic to bring polio to children over there. You probably have heard that we have vaccinators who were actually killed in Pakistan. And of course, in Afghanistan, there are Taliban-controlled areas where it's not that easy to bring this. No? So this particular year, I was appointed by our own district governor, Odi Teriela, to head our campaign in the Philippines. So I graciously accepted it because, a big factor of me being a Rotarian is I really want to be part of making the world safer, not just peaceful, but also especially in preventing disease. No? That's why I wanted to emphasize the point that we really have to put a period. No? Let's end polio now. Otherwise, nobody's safe until everybody's safe. And that we all have to join in the same effort until the last child, who will have a case, when we can finally say it's done, like what we did to smallpox. So let's put an end to polio once and for all. We're all together in this. Let's reach out to inform everyone. Let's share. Let them know that, we have focused on polio, but as we know, there are other diseases that we need to vaccinate our children for. That's why we said we're partnering with Red Cross, we're partnering with UNICEF, we're partnering with the World Health Organization. And of course, in our effort to raise funds, let's give and encourage others to give. So we want to make sure this is also an opportunity for us to Rotarize everyone else. That's why our End Polio can be a way to encourage people to support Rotary so they know what Rotary is doing. A lot of people are not aware how much Rotary has been involved in ending polio from the very start. So in our own district, let me just share what we did, to be able to raise additional funds because, as we know, other things need funding, but we realize we still want to campaign, and we say that we need to immunize every child and bring the number of cases to zero, and we want to sustain our focus because it was a Filipino Rotary International president, Matt Caparas, who started it, because the only disease so far that's been eradicated by vaccine is smallpox, and that's only in 1980. And we say we need to do the same with polio again. So we also want to encourage people that when you give to polio, you can actually triple your impact. And that's why, through the help of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we encourage even non-Rotarians that if you give through the End Polio Now effort, your impact will be tripled because of their support. So that's why we say
we're this close to polio, so it's time to put polio behind us now. Now, in our effort to put polio behind us now, our district governor, okay, had access to get us manufacture, no, at cost. So we're practically giving these items at cost so that we can raise funds. So this pillow, like the one I'm wearing right now, no, we have a large pillow that's 500 pesos each. $4 will actually go to polio, to end polio for every piece. Okay. There's a smaller pillow for those who want the smaller one, $300, 300 pesos for $3 for every pillow. The neck rest like this, $3. Okay, the headrest, $2. So as you can see, these are good quality materials, and yet it's given out at cost. So imagine for a little over $10, $4 goes to polio, no? $6 cost of the small pillow, $3 goes to polio. Okay, so as you can see, almost half of it goes to polio. So the real effort here is to focus on raising funds for polio. That's why if you just get one sample of each item, a total of $12 will be a total of 36 because of the support from Bill and Melinda Foundation. And of course, in the Philippines right now, we encourage people to get it. We are developing ways to get it to them safely. And we've arranged for clubs, no, to pull together their orders so that they can claim it at the place of our past district governor, Connie, in her place. So we encourage people to be part of this polio campaign, to be also distributor of our items. Okay, so we've been highlighting this for people who wants to continuously support it, even for non-Rotarians. See, so these are available. So we really want to encourage people to avail of it. We were saying, you know, you can now let's put a period to polio and end it once and for all. So this is Governor Odi. With his support, we have so many activities lined up. We said give it away for Christmas. No, give love on Christmas Day, and why not give a gift that also gifts our children of the future. No? So those are the efforts. So far, we're almost there. Okay, for our own district alone, this is just one among the 10. We're targeting to make $26,000. We pledged only 20,000, but we want to reach 26. So far, 5,000, and then we have more coming. So we're coordinating our efforts with all the other 10 districts so that we can all raise funds together and support one another's activities, because there's no point in duplicating events, especially if it's over Zoom. So we realize that all the 10 districts can simply join together and then promote one another's events. You know, we had virtual runs so that you can run wherever you are, but you can just track the distance and report it and still earn points. So we're all part of this effort. And yeah, all of the different districts came up with their own novel way to make this campaign more interesting, more lively, and more sexy. So that's the effort we've been trying to do. Make it more lively, especially among the young generation. Make them realize that you're all already part of this campaign. Rotaractors, interactors, early actors, we're all together in this campaign for the next generation. So remember, until everybody's safe, nobody's safe. So let's all be part of our End Polio campaign. Thank you very much.
Thank you, District Polio Plus Chair PP Raymond. Thank you to Rotary District 3300, 3310, 3410, and 3810 for your sharing on the update of End Polio initiatives from representatives districts. It is usually very indeed heartening to see the amount of passion and work that Rotary and its partner do to continue to bring these efforts of eradicating polio to the next level itself. A huge appreciation to all of you for putting so much time, energy, and effort in making this possible. All right, so we have now come close to the end of the event, but it's not over yet. But right now, I would love to invite DRR Chu Taiwan of District 3310 to give her closing remarks.
Apologies, before we proceed to Taiwan, we would like to replay the video from District 3410 because previously it got cut out. So please welcome the video from District 3410.
Dear Rotarians, Rotaractors, and friends of Rotary, polio eradication is one of Rotary's most significant efforts. Rotary and partners has helped immunize more than 2.5 billion children and reduce polio cases up to 99.9% in the whole world. In Indonesia, End Polio Now started in 1988. $6 million were given by Rotary International in the forms of vaccines, equipments, medical team, and other supports to District 340 under District Governor Willie Wiguna. 2014, Indonesia is certified as polio-free, and 2020, Africa is certified as polio-free. District 3410 celebrates together with Africa and expressing this by creating a compilation video of End Polio Now activities in all areas in District 3410. We also make many activities and support contribution to Polio Plus. Rotarians and Rotaractors in the whole world and in District 3410 will continue to support End Polio Now until polio is eradicated from the whole world. Rotary opens opportunities.
bahagia.